Amen, amen. So I met Laura about 3 years ago when I first moved here, and I just kind of ran into her over the years, and every time I run into her, we have a little bit more of a conversation, and I'm always encouraged. And then I found out that she's a comedian. And so me and my husband went on date night to one of her clean comedy shows, and it was awesome. It was so funny. And then I think I went a couple more times, maybe 2 more. So anyway, as we were planning this, I think I ran into you or something, and I thought, man, like having joy in this scenario where we're talking about hope, because like hope and joy and laughter is so healing. So me and Laura were talking, and she shared with me how she became a comedian. And I'm gonna let her share that with you because it's truly amazing. She's a homeschool mom, and she lives around here. And anyway, Laura, come on up, share your story.
This will help a little bit. Thank you guys for having me here today. It is such an honor. After all that worship, I'm not sure why I ever try to wear makeup. Golly. Usually I try to joke a little bit when I do women's events about what's happened so far, but Pastor Stella's word was just so good that there's nothing we could joke about, right? You guys look amazing. This is a beautiful, beautiful gathering of women, and just feel us all together, okay? Like we are all together in the spirit right now, and it's just really cool, and I have to like focus, like be funny now, Laura, come on, be funny. Pastor Stella and Julia did ask me to also share some of my story, and since we're all friends here, you should know I've never done that publicly before. So I just appreciate your grace and kindness with it as I go through it for the first time in a bigger setting. And I also don't really know how to transition from funny to serious, so it might feel a little weird in a little bit, okay? Anyway, so I fasted for a week to get closer to God, and because I ran out of money. Yeah, fasting with kids is hard, but making them fast with you is harder. Yeah, it's free, but child abuse. My husband and I fasted last year. He didn't want to, and I did, so my husband and I fasted last year. Yeah, but yeah, for 75 days we fasted sugar. No, it was not funny. It was a very difficult time in our lives, actually. Yeah, so for 75 days, we also fasted, joy and laughter. Yeah. But it was just sugar. So, instead of like ice cream, I'd have an entire loaf of French bread. Yeah. But after the fast was over, my body actually started acting like bread dough. Like, I gave it sugar again, let it sit for a bit, and it doubled in size. Yeah. I am glad that it was Jesus that was tempted in the desert instead of me, because my answers would have been a lot less like salt of the earth and a lot more like salty, Like when he's like, if you're really the Son of God, turn this stone into bread. Like, no, we all know the best bread is made out of sourdough, not limestone. And when he's like, you'll have all power and authority if you do one thing. Like, I'm gonna stop you right there, buddy, okay? I'm a wife, I'm a homeschooling mom, I have 4 dogs right now, and I am a wildly successful comedian. Wildly successful comedian. Yeah, tell me when in my day I have time for one more thing, okay? And then when he finally takes me up to the temple and he's like, jump and call on your angels, right? Like, no way, dude, I won't even jump off the stage. Are you kidding? I'm not gonna call on my angels. What if they get cut up for 21 days like Daniel's did? Y'all, if some of y'all aren't getting these points here, I have a book you can read. I was thinking of how Jesus and ice cream are very similar. Yeah, they are. Just listen. Okay, so it's like when you're filled with either one of them, there's just this inner joy that people notice, you know? Yeah, but if you're lactose intolerant and you're filled with either one, it feels like you could burst. And like how the weight of the time you spend alone together doesn't really show up until later. Okay. And they'll never leave you, ever. Yeah. No matter how far or fast you run, Jesus and ice cream will never leave your side. Or backside. Yeah. Okay, so love languages. We all know about them, right? Yeah? Woo, yeah. So, do you guys remember, like, learning about them for the first time and, like, how much they revolutionized your relationships, right? You know, and then how quickly the people around you stopped utilizing yours. So in retaliation, you know, you started writing them really sweet notes and stuff, knowing that they're acts of service. I'm not suggesting that. I just was wondering if you remember doing that too. Oh, here's the deal. I'm gonna say it, ladies. I don't think friends need to honor love languages. Oh, I know. You know, it's really great, Susan, that your top love language is gifts, but unless you're paying my mortgage, okay, I don't need to get you anything. Okay? I might, like if I find something on clearance. But that's only because my love language is impulse buying. You know? And I don't know about you ladies, but my love languages have changed over the years. Like, before kids, my top two were gifts and physical touch. You know, and what would happen is my husband would buy me a gift, I'd physical touch, and then we'd have a baby. Yeah. So after 4 gifts, you know, no, I just want you to do stuff for me now. Yeah, like that new car is really pretty, but laundry won't fold itself. And truthfully, I was getting a little bit bored of the love languages as written, so I changed them to suit me a little bit better. So now, like, words of affirmation are words of anything except masks coming back. Okay. Been there, done that, not doing it again. Everybody else loved them. Okay, all right. You know, let's see. Acts of service, or it's now acts of laughing really hard at these jokes. Really hard at these jokes. Okay, I'll take that. Okay. Physical touch is, we've had enough of that. But the backyard could use some physical labor. Yep. Quality time is quality Netflix, or quality Pureflix if a pastor's listening. Yeah. And gifts, well, he's had a vasectomy, so we can resume gift giving, actually. Yeah. My husband, for Christmas, he got me a gift certificate for a massage, okay? Like gift certificate size, like whole big thing. And then he had it laminated on purpose. And so to redeem it, I had to buy a purse big enough, right, to fit this. And then to redeem it, like I had to use 2 hands and hand it over to the receptionist, and all I could say was, good luck fitting that in your cash register. Okay, but it was for a 3-hour massage. No joke. Because why, as a mother of 4 children, would I want to not get away for 3 separate hours each? Yeah. It's like he got me a half-hour massage and a 2.5-hour nap where people won't stop touching me. Yep, I had 4 kids and I had them all naturally, so, and I drink a lot of water. So either I'm gonna get a bathroom break or they're putting newspapers under me, okay? Yeah. He could have gotten me a 2-minute massage that ends when The commercials are over. Now that I'm used to. Yeah, he, for a recent birthday, he got me an adjustable base bed. You know, the ones where like the head and the feet raise and lower, right? I turned 37, not 70. If there's any 70-year-olds in here, I mean 90. 90. Yeah, this bed screams, we're not even attempting to have more children. Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, you guys love that. Yeah, nothing says you're past your prime like being given a hospital bed. I do joke about it, but it's actually like my favorite thing in the house. Like he took me on a special date, like to the mattress store to pick up any one I wanted. And then he started looking at price tags. And he pointed to one and said, this one's on sale, this is the one you want. Yeah, okay. He's so sweet, he gives me all these extravagant gifts. This past year for our anniversary, I waited until the night before to go buy his card. Cutting it that close, I was worried I'd run into him in the card aisle. Yeah, except the problem was that I was like super mad at him when I went shopping for it, so none of the cards really were fitting. I was looking for one that said like, you know, I love you, but I hope you don't die, you know, like, or like on the outside, like, you're my favorite person. The inside, usually, but not today. Better luck next year. Yeah. He even gave me the ability to homeschool our children. Yeah. Yeah, he did give it to me. I checked and there are no returns. He keeps calling it a gift, and I keep calling Valley Christian. Yeah. A lot of people ask, like, why I homeschool, and, you know, it's a pretty easy answer. Like, I really like my kids, and I want them around, you know, and then they wake up. And then I'm calling Valley Christian again, you know. Yeah, now they don't have to be around that one kid that like makes all the kids at school cry, right? You know? So that was my oldest. Had to get her out of there. Now she's just making all of her sisters cry, which is actually still all of the children at school. Yeah, and we get to choose who they hang out with, so obviously they're not being influenced by all those kids that don't make their own clothes. Leave them. Yeah. And I have been doing it for a while though, so I have figured out some homeschooling hacks. Like if I give them a cookie to share, that's fractions, right? Yeah. Or if I have to take a nap, that's independent study. Yeah. And if they hear me talking about what my one friend did to my other friend in high school, that's archaeology. Yeah. I've heard that, like, homeschoolers need to be rich, right? And if that's true, why does, like, every homeschool kid you've ever met look like they've spent their entire life running from a cone? You know, I don't know. I think if rich people homeschool, they must, like, I don't know, like, educate them on their private yacht, or I'm not really sure, because to me, being rich is being able to give each of my kids their own cookie, you know? Whole numbers. No, really though, like, we're the same, right? Public school families, homeschool families, we both wear our braids under our bonnets, okay? Yeah, both have bumper stickers on our cars for our kids. Theirs says something about like, honor roll. Mine says, my kid doesn't know what grade she's in. Yeah, I wish that weren't true. Okay, so, I say this till the end because I've never heard this talked about in public before, and I am a little bit nervous to talk about it, but I'm just gonna say it. So, nipple hair. Say it again, nipple hair. Okay, so we all have it, okay? If you say you don't, I say prove it. Okay? You natural blondes, you might be telling the truth, okay? But for the rest of us, That's why we have our tweezers in the bathroom cabinet, okay? If we were smart, we'd keep them in the shower because that's where they greet us. Oh, some people say, well, why not just shave it? Well, excuse me, I don't believe my nipples should have a 5 o'clock shadow, okay? It's about to be winter, ladies, okay? I say we toss those tweezers and let our nipple hair keep us warm this winter, okay? Or if you're at the point that I'm at, just get yourself a circle loom, you know, and place it just so, and then knit yourself a hat. You know? Don't forget one for a friend, too. Okay. And I once broke. There's a dude in here now, so this is awkward. Okay. I once broke the nipple hair code, and I told my husband. He just said no and stared off into the distance. Probably thinking about better days, you know? Like before his wife told him that she had nipple hair. Yeah, I just think it's time that we start talking about this to each other, you know, like, so that other people understand, like, why we get so angry when people barge in the bathroom, right? Like, our heads were not meant to whip up that fast. I once had a lady come up to me after a show and say, thank you for talking about that. Like, I was gonna go to my doctor about it. Like, ladies, we could be saving each other co-pays, okay? Seriously. Okay, now I'm like, really uncomfortable, okay? And I'd really like your eyes to be up here now, okay, ladies? Should I be like going like this the rest of the talk, maybe? Okay. So like this is that transition into serious now, okay? Like, you guys walking with me now, okay? Okay, so I'm so honored to be here today to share some of our story. I should probably warn you that I'm not overly spiritual, okay? I'm super spirit-filled, love them with all my heart, but I'm just not overly spiritual. Most of my Bible quoting happens in jokes, okay? That's probably not what I'm supposed to do with it, but that's what I do anyway. So, about me, oh, thank you. Yeah, can you tell that something was trying to stop me from being here today? Whatever. So I've loved God my whole life. Okay, I've been spirit-filled since I was a teenager. Didn't keep me out of all the trouble, but it kept me out of most trouble, you know. I wasn't fully surrendered until I was about 29. I already had all my babies. If you don't know what I mean by fully surrendered, come talk to me later. I have a pink lanyard, so I'm equipped to pray for you. And so from the moment of my surrender, my heart cry to God has been, I love you and I trust you, Lord, and I say yes to you. I love you and I trust you, Lord, and I say yes to you. Other people like to stand on scriptures, but that was just my heart cry, okay? And super easy to mean those words when you're just on like a joyride with God, right? Just like doing all the prophetic with strangers and dreaming dreams for friends and family and being healed, seeing healing, you know, just all of that, right? And oh, goodness gracious, on the clearance rack. Does the Lord show you his goodness on the clearance rack too, ladies? Oh, thank you, Lord, right? Yeah, but those words are a little bit harder to mean when the enemy comes after your baby, okay? So in December 2018, the Lord tried to warn me that one of my kids was going to be home with me the next semester. And I say tried to because that was the first year that all 4 of my kids were in school full day. Okay, I had 4 kids in 4 years with no twins, also no birth control. And so I was just loving life. You know, I was loving my few hours a day of free time and just doing whatever I wanted. And I fully rejected any idea of any children being home with me, okay? God's idea or not. But funny enough, he knew what he was talking about, right? So in the early days of January 2019, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with high-risk leukemia. Yeah, it was not fun. She was 10 at the time, and as I share about this, this is only from my perspective. Her perspective is for her to share with her circle, right? And she gets to bring hope and freedom to other people, but I'm just sharing it from Mama's point of view, okay? So if you are not a mama yet, or don't want to be, that's totally cool. Just know it's like your mama, your daddy, your puppy, your kitty, all rolled into one, okay? That's what I'm talking about with babies, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that's why I'm sharing, I'm not sharing her point of view. But, so as you can imagine, the first few days after hearing that, it's just a whirlwind of questions and questions not being answered and confusion, and it's just really unbelievable. I am like a wild and crazy Christian, right, that believes God for what he says, right? And here I am in the hospital with people telling me that my baby has leukemia. Like, no, what is going on, And it just was a lot of like darkness, confusion, and just every day for a full week, we fully expected the doctors to come back and say, oh, it's not here anymore, you guys can go home. But spoiler alert, I wouldn't be standing here if that's what happened, right? So we knew she would be completely healed, and we just figured that this time we were gonna have to go through the doctors, right? And they kept finding the leukemia in her blood, so we received peace about doing chemo. And the first few weeks of it were the roughest, like just real heavy, real dark. And it is difficult to explain what it's like to see your 10-year-old, innocent, sweet little 10-year-old, just not eating, no energy, depressed, collapsing from weakness, couldn't even walk on her own, having my husband have to carry her everywhere or use a wheelchair, migraines, and then eventually hair loss. She had just like the thickest, most beautiful brown hair you'd ever seen in your life. Probably the lowest point was probably when she was trying her hardest to get to the bathroom, but she just, fell short and she slipped in her own, vomit, right? So, and I don't want to be graphic about it, but I just want you guys to understand where we were, right? Like, just some dark, heavy days. And I didn't quite know how to get out of that, and in the hospital, we were at the hospital initially for about a month. All right, I'm taking the water. Mm-hmm. And everywhere we went in that hospital, it just was like darker, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter where we went. It was always just darkness and confusion, And we just felt really alone at the hospital. And we are a family that doesn't always agree with medical advice. So we were just kind of on our own little island and kind of had our defenses up, And so, there's definitely more, to the darkness, but truthfully, I probably have to go hit up Sozo before we can talk more about those. Yeah, so about 2 weeks into our stay, I was just out walking the hallways, just trying to find some room that felt light, and I couldn't. So I just, in the middle of the hallway, I just cried out to him, like, God, why are we here? What is going on? This is so depressing. Everywhere is darkness. What do you want from me, right? You guys can't see, but I wrote like 6 question marks, okay? Like, I meant that, for real. And his answer was very kind, very gracious, to the point. I've called you here to be the light in the darkness. I know some of you saw that coming from a mile away, okay? But we were just so in it, we couldn't see it. It was like a sledgehammer to our spirits, to my spirit. And it was like ripping the blinders off. I knew it had been a spiritual battle, like that much was obvious, but I didn't know what our role was in it, besides to, fight for our baby, right? So after apologizing for my blindness and telling them I'll do my best, I went from sad, depressed, and dark, to this. I'm here on assignment. I didn't know what the full assignment was yet, but I knew I had to be light, and I know that I love him and that I trust him and that I say yes to him. So that was enough for me to know, I'm equipped, right? I'm made for this, okay? So I go back into her hospital room, and I went to lay with her on the bed. She was still in the really dark stage, right? She hadn't laughed or barely even smiled for days. I'm talking about a 10-year-old child here, okay? Hadn't laughed or smiled for days. She felt awful. She was just starting to lose her hair. Lord, you're so good. But God gave me the privilege of infusing joy into her little spirit.
That's all right.
And all it took was joking about how she was going to match her bald uncle together laughing. Yeah. And she laughed, and we laughed together for probably 10 minutes. I even have it on video, because we laughed that long that I got to stop and record it. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. And in that laughter, God broke through that darkness, and he broke through that depression, and he broke through pain, all because of laughter and joy. And as we know from the very wise movie, Monsters, Inc., laughter is far more powerful than fear. After that breakthrough, there was a marked difference in that hospital stay. We even call it the dark 14 and the bright 14. We had many more hospital stays after that, many. And there were a lot of times that other people would consider down, still some hard times, but for our family, genuinely, we considered it ups. Our daughter was here. Hello, that's a bright point, right? If she ever had a fever, which is a big, huge no-no in the cancer world, you have to go to the hospital right away if you have a fever. That just meant that we got to see our favorite nurses, right? Or if she had an all-day infusion, that just meant that she didn't have homework, which is cool for a 10-year-old, So during a time that others would consider horrible, there was just joy, That doesn't mean that I didn't have breakdown moments, of course I do, or did, I should say, but it really was. I look back, and all of our family looks back at that time with just an overwhelming joy and peace about it. And with real smiles. We really smiled, and it wasn't just polite ones, because that's what you're supposed to do, Well, about a year and a half into it all, she relapsed. Yeah, doctor said it came back, and they gave horrendous treatment options, like full body radiation, which if you don't know, that's sterilization. Just some really, really, really horrible options. But we said no. We said no, thank you. We've already done that. We're not doing this again. And we took our authority as parents that we thought we did the first time, but we learned. We learned what we did wrong the first time. And so God was good, and he gave her the option of one of the most expensive treatment options available today. It's called CAR T. It was $500,000. Yeah, but because it was from God, completely free.
Hallelujah.
Including the 2-week hotel stay that we needed to be out of town, and all of our food for the whole 2 weeks, along with gas to get there, totally free. about to lose it again. So, even though there were quite a few days of darkness again in those I would say probably are some of the hardest days of my life, there was joy and there was trust. And even though, this horrible thing was happening, right? All I could say was, I trust you, Lord. If I wasn't praying in the Spirit, I'd be over in some corner just chanting, I trust you, Lord, I trust you, Lord. I didn't want to say anything, right? Kind of like you were saying, Pastor Stella, like you don't want to speak anti-faith, if you will, and so I trust you, Lord, I trust you, Lord, I trust you, Lord. Like, that was it. That's pretty much, what do you want to eat? I trust you, Lord, And I've never meant it more in my life. I trust you, Lord. And I am incredibly thankful to report that there was also just miracle after miracle after miracle and healing. And I'm talking complete, total miracle healing that is medically unexplainable.
Hallelujah.
According to them, she should not be alive today. But that sweet little 10-year-old girl that I watched collapse from weakness and slipping in her own vomit, today she's 15. She has a head full of the most beautiful, thick, dark brown hair. She's enrolling in college classes early, and she's training to be a power lifter. She is hilarious, and she is a joy to be around if she ever puts her phone down. And she wanted me to tell you all, she is so excited to drive. She's actually friends with Selah, too. Yeah. So, that is my refining fire story, right? It was refining for my whole family. We learned what trusting God through the difficult really means. Even when the picture doesn't look like what we want it to look like, or when the miracle doesn't happen on our timeline. Maybe you're in your refining moment now. Maybe you're in the middle of begging and pleading God for your marriage, or always talking to Jesus about your prodigal. Maybe you're just standing on that healing that isn't coming fast enough. Maybe you're in your single season waiting for your man. I just, when I was praying about it, I saw y'all closing your eyes. Would you please close your eyes? Okay? Just want you to take a deep breath, right? I want you to find Jesus' eyes. You'll know them when you see a fire burning. Okay? I really want you to speak to him while looking at those blazing, all-consuming eyes that are looking at you. I want you to say out loud, I love you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. I trust you with blank, fill in the blank. And I say yes to you. Say that one again. I said yes to you. All right, y'all are released from that. If that was difficult for you to say to him, you can pray afterwards if you want. Again, I have a pink tag. And if it was easy for you to say, congratulations, you're perfect. Just kidding. We know that means that you have a history with God. You have a history knowing his faithfulness, right? And a cool thing happens when you start to trust God and when you're obedient to him is that he starts trusting you and he starts preparing you for more and for increase. When he can see that you trust in your heart and hear and see you carrying out your yes to him no matter what. No matter if you have a cold, no matter if, no matter the circumstance. When he sees you carrying out your yes, he'll start to leave you clues and puzzle pieces that are meant for future you. I'm not talking about time travel, because we know we would all go back to when we were 17 and just have tight skin and just stare at ourselves. Just me. Talking about those pieces of his plan that he hides in our hard times, So remember the dark 14 days, right? So the night of the laughter, breaking the darkness, that is the same night that the Lord gave me the joke about nipple hair. Okay, the fact that he gave me nipple hair is in itself a joke, okay? Come on. But I would not even consider doing stand-up for another 2 years from that night. It was never a dream in my heart. It was never a thought in my head. It was something he shoved me into it, let's say. He hid it in my heart. He hid that joke in my heart for 2 years, but made it obvious when I got into the shower. I don't know what God is preparing you for while you're living the hard right now. But, good news, Romans 8:28 promises us that every detail of our lives is continually woven together for good. Because we are his lovers, right? Who have been called to fulfill his design purpose. Continually, forever, ladies, forever working together. So those nights that you spend awake all night burning and praying for America, those are part of his design purpose. That homework that you're faithfully doing as a student, that has purpose. Still loving and serving that spouse that just doesn't think they have a heart for God, that's in his design purpose. And sharing those funny memes with your prodigal because it's the only thing they won't reject. It's part of his purpose. And it does work out for good. It does. So, my homework, my challenge to you guys, say it over and over and over again until every cell in your body believes it. This Christian life does not have to be complicated. You do not have to memorize the entire book of the Bible. You have to love him, you have to trust him, and you have to say yes to him. And then get ready. Get ready. The song that we were singing, the Christ before me, Christ behind me, I'm held firm. I saw it as a roller coaster. I saw it as saying yes to him. I saw it as trust. He is both the harness and the seat that you sit in, so you are firmly held. And the yes is that Holy Spirit kicking that ride off, and it's the most fun ride you'll ever go on. If you love him and you trust him and you say yes to him. So, I don't know how to end this now.
All right, ladies. It's good to laugh a little, right?